Well, hello, my hey. I got something to say. And I love all my guests, but I've been telling you about Susan Sandler, AKA Sissy Sue, coming on the show because we've been wanting to do this for months and it finally worked out and it's perfect timing in the new year. Sissy, thanks for being on in 2025.
Oh, it's such a pleasure.
This is a subject that's near and dear to both our hearts. It is listening. Listening. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Susan, and then I'm going to tell you why we decided to do the show. Is that cool with you?
Yes.
And if I screw up and say Sissy Sue, she's not she is my real sister by choice. Okay. Susan Sandler is an expert in personal and organizational transformation. The dragonfly. I found it. She led organizational change and leadership development for organizations like Merrill Lynch, the Vanguard Group, and national nonprofit Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. She accidentally became a theatrical public speaker at 63. Her powerful TEDx talk, if you haven't seen it, what are you waiting for? Come on, people, check it out. Punch fear in the face. And oh my goodness, I didn't even see this before, Sissy. Her powerful TEDx, punch fear in the face and amp, claim your life, I never even saw that part, received a standing ovation. How did I miss that? At TEDxWilmington, oh my God. Women, I did not know that. That's awesome. Continues to inspire people on YouTube. Okay, so go check it out. You have to take it out. Susan Sandler, Punch Fear in the Face. You got it. The following year, she launched a theatrical keynote one-woman show called Wings, which is about life on the other side of fear and the journey to get there. Now, she's writing her first book. It's called Midlife Magic. You just keep going, Sissy. You just keep going.
I keep on going. I have a lot of lives.
That's true. Okay, so this is about the magic of deep listening, but I want to tell you why we picked this subject. So I don't know how long ago we met, but for some reason we started this Friday nights with Sissy because she lives about 45 minutes with me and we go out and I didn't want to have to worry about driving home. So once we got home from dinner, we put on our PJs, I blow up my air mattress, and then we decide what we want to drink. And it could be anywhere from different teas to wine to bourbon. And then we'd stay up way too late. And then had to get up early. Well, she did for class. I'd wake up whenever. And we realized after, I don't know, it took us maybe a year, that the reason we loved it so much is because we both equally truly listen to one another. And how rare that was in our lives. Not that we didn't have a lot of friends, a lot of great people, but the gift of truly listening was really rare and how magical it was. And the reason I wanted to bring Susan on is because for the first time, I felt I'm going to get emotional. I'm not. I promised myself that I truly wasn't just listening to someone else. And I get it. That's my position in life. I go to spread joy and I'm a great listener. I listen most times without judgment, and I very rarely give advice. And I realized I kind of miss being listened to. And so it was so magical that we could receive that. Not that other friends were amazing and incredible. I have so many incredible friends, but that wasn't my position. That I'm going to listen to you. So that got me to dive a little deeper with Susan to find out her journey a little bit more. And has she always been this way? So, Sue, if you don't mind, I want to back up a bit. Did you always know you have the gift for listening, or is it something you developed? And then the second part of it is people want to know, if they're not now, can they develop it?
Yeah. I didn't realize that this is my natural state of being until I became a public speaker and was told this by our public speaking teacher, Michael Port.
Wait a minute. So not until 63?
Yes, not until 63. I knew I was a good listener, but I didn't understand what was unique about my listening until Michael told me. And what the way it came about was that people, when I started this public speaking training with heroic public speaking, people wanted me in their audience. And I mean, they would request me in their audience. And I would get feedback from some of the speakers who were on the stage later saying, thank you so much. I mean, your face was talking to me. I felt as if you were with me. You were my best audience. And what Michael had said to me about that, he said, your best quality is your state of wonder. So that is how he characterized my listening, that I really take people in, unless I don't like them or I can't be bothered. I mean, I'm like a normal person, but when I feel engaged,
Yeah.
I do get lost, not lost. I do get captivated by people, not just what they're saying, but the understory,
Mm-hmm.
how they're saying it. And I'm just in the moment with them when, as long as everything is going okay for me, I am somewhat normal.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening on the Friday night couch when you and I spoke.
Mm.
I wanted to know more. I wanted to hear more. I just found you fascinating. Who
I was
was
like, wait a minute. I get to chit chat.
Yeah. So I believe it's that I listen with my whole being because I'm in the moment and I drop my judgments. Yeah.
All right. So for me, and I want to just make this clear. Everybody's like, wait a minute, I thought I was listening to. I think I've taken on, which I'm sure you have too, that role. Like when you're a great listener and you're truly listening to someone, people can't wait. Like my friend said, of course I wait to the end of the party till everybody leaves so I can get you for an hour because you're going to really listen to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And but here's the deal, and I got so many questions about this subject, but let's dive into the biggest one, which you said, there's people you don't really like. You're not going to sit there and really look at any human. You're like, ooh, I'm not vibing with them. But to be a good listener, you really have to like humans? So I think I'm a great listener because I truly love humans. I find them fascinating. I find them intriguing, even when they have totally different opinions than me. I want to find out their journey. Like, what you said, curiosity. I can't wait to hear more. But I really like human beings. So the number one question I got, please, Sandy, I'm not allowed to answer this question, they said. Please ask Miss Sandler. I don't really like humans that much, but I do want to be a good listener. Can I become a better listener if I'm really not? I like 50% of humans.
Like of all the humans, 50% of them?
I don't know. That's what we're going to call her, Sally.
Only 50% of a particular human.
Yeah. You said
Yeah.
on any given day, any given moment, but the 50% I really want to listen to.
Yeah. Yes, it's a skill. listening is a skill, and there are techniques to the skill, and there are like things that enable people to feel more heard and for you to be able to make better connections. At the same time, I think for it to be more relationship building, the other person needs to feel as if you care.
Ooh. So she has to kind of like humans for that.
Or at least the humans that she wants to, or he or she want to develop a deeper connection with.
Yeah. And the biggest thing, and I have to try to bite my tongue on this, you don't feel like they're waiting for you just to stop talking to respond.
Yes. That's one of the and that's my experience when I'm talking with most people, is they'll want to listen to what I say and then they want to reply to it. And that is not it's just not engaging. Like, who wants to talk to someone who is just waiting, tapping their toe internally, waiting for you to stop talking? Yeah.
And you can see it all over their face. Now, keep in
Absolutely.
mind, a podcast is different. I got to keep the show going, baby. But you can see when someone is just facial expression going, yeah, 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 yeah. Let me just get out. And sissy, sometimes I have to admit, it's not my finer hour. I will say, I don't think you heard anything I said. You were just waiting to say that. And I don't even know if it has anything to do with what I was saying.
Yeah, they're not responsive.
They just had something else, an agenda or something they needed to get out. Or so let's back up because I really want the listeners to receive this. To be a magical listener, to be present, it's almost like you just have to take a beat and tell yourself you're just there to listen to them. And it's not about you responding or having an answer.
Yes. And to be curious.
And then you add it on, I'm going to say, for it to be empathy, it's not just about the words, it's about really putting yourself wanting in their shoes and understanding what they're saying.
Yes. And I think the differentiator is also allowing them to impact you.
Mm.
See, it's really about taking the other person in. That to me is what really makes for a skilled listener. And maybe it's not skill. That sounds like it's technique. I don't mean it that way. But when somebody listens to would deeply listens to us, especially about something that really matters, we feel seen and heard,
Mm.
valued, and that's rare these days. Actually, in any days, but especially now, um, things are so automatic and controlled and all that. So when we have the experience of somebody really caring enough to hear what's not only going on with our words, but
Mm.
what's going on in our hearts, what really matters to the other person, that is game changing.
I agree. I think it's the most beautiful gift you can give someone.
I believe it is
And,
being
yeah.
and taking them in.
And I do understand because I got list and list, sissy, of reasons why they can't be good listeners. And I get it. And what you're saying, even nowadays, I do, when people say, and nowadays things are, I am like, oh my God. But it is because right at your fingertips, you have a phone that no one ever had. You know what I mean? That you can sit there and respond quickly. You have social media. Everything is instantaneous, coming at you, and that you can do several things at several times, not well. And it's so tempting to be eating with someone or having dinner with someone and checking your phone. And some of it's even a habit. It's habits they formed and they don't. Like one woman said, I swear I don't know how to do it. My girlfriend said, I'm always checking my phone. I used to have an excuse. My kids were with a babysitter, but now my kids are 20 some.
Right. Yeah.
But
Same.
it's just
Yeah.
a habit.
Yes. Yeah.
And feeling I'm going to miss something. And you're
Mhm.
not.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
So I think the first step, even with that person with the phone, even if they just put it on, like if they, unless something was an emergency or whatever, turn the phone over. Like I know sometimes it's hard for people to put phones in their pocketbooks, but turn their phone over.
I went to a meeting once where we had to deposit our phones
Hmm.
to a basket. It was one of the most productive meetings I ever experienced.
Says he. The last workshop I did, I had the women do that, leave them in the car, turn them off, and then I had no pictures of the workshop. And they said to me, well, you made us leave our phones in the car.
There you have it. Trade-offs. There's always a trade-off. Yeah.
I could have had one phone.
This is true.
Okay. So I want to go back to this because we talked about that. You said you don't want it to be like a technique or tool, but if someone for this one wanted to develop it at work,
Mhm.
there are skills and techniques and tools to make sure they're this guy. We took one from a guy, sis. I know it's for women around, but men support us. He says, my coworkers, okay, they're my staff, I'm the boss, say, I listen with only one ear. I swear to you, I don't know how to listen with two. I have so much to do. Please ask Miss Sandler to help me.
What could be more important than listening to people who you're working with? Well, I don't understand that. As a
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to be nice about this, but yeah. Well, I guess unless you don't have any need to collaborate or to build relationships, then I guess it's okay.
Yeah.
But for example, when I coach people, so I'm an executive coach. I do other types of coaching, but that's what I'm doing now. And for the most part, one of the skills that helps people advance in their careers is this ability to be able to listen and be able to share back with that person what they learned from them and how they're impacted by what they have gleaned from the conversation. I think that's why I did so well uh, um, at attracting people who mentored me
Mm.
without any payment. I valued so much what I learned from them and being able to listen to what they're saying and then repeat it back in my own words and to be able to apply what I had learned from them and then to be able to go back to them and say, you know, after we talked, I tried that thing and here was the impact and I'm so appreciative of that. Being able to do that with someone and give them the gift that you actually took in something that you heard, applied it, and it made a difference, and look at how I appreciate you, is such a valuable way
Mm.
to be respected in your organization and to get cooperation and collaboration.
You just reminded me, I saw this post and this woman was saying 5 years later, one of her mentees, after being stubborn for many years, used her advice and now is soaring in her business and love what she does. And she said that was the most beautiful gift she could have gotten in January, is hearing that.
Right. And it doesn't even have to be at work. I mean, I do that in my relationships.
Mm.
And I think the nuances of the skill I actually learned from a colleague of mine who is also a public speaker, who demonstrated to me how to actually get my then boyfriend Joe to fall in love with me.
Wait
And
a minute, a whole nother podcast. Hold on, people.
I
How
mean,
to get your man to fall in love with you. This is going to be a listening skill. Okay, we're ready.
okay, so here's what happened. So I've been dating my boyfriend Joe for about 25 years. And this was after we had dated for 14 years. And I mean, he was okay. I mean, he was, obviously attractive and took me to operas and he cooked for me
But he was okay.
and he smelled good, which was one of the most important things.
And he was a great dresser.
Right. He's a fabulous dresser. But I mean, there wasn't like a connection, like a romantic connection
Oh my
for
God.
14 years.
Let me say.
So Tony, my friend Tony, and she and I were both public speakers. She was staying at my home because she needed a place to stay because the training was local. And she and Joe and I went out to dinner together. She sat across from him. He sat next to me. We're in a booth. And she and I just began talking. And she said to me, Sue, we're talking shop, and Joe looks at disinterested. So all of a sudden, she began to engage him in a conversation, and he was very quiet. I didn't really, I mean, he was very, very introverted. Okay. And she is drawing him out. She's asking him questions. She's listening to him. She's looking engaged. And I'm looking at him like I didn't know who this man was. He was absolutely charming, funny as hell. And she said to him, Joe, look at Sue. Look how much she loves you. And we looked at one another and we fell in love. That is the power of listening.
Mm. Mm. Unbelievable. And that was 14 years in.
I'm slow. Yeah. Yeah, I think I was so caught up in impressing him
Yeah.
that I really wasn't tuning into who he really was.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think that's a big one. So
Yeah.
we think we have to impress people. Yeah, but it's not true.
No.
Finding out who they are, their interest.
I'm just letting them know when something they do or say or they don't do or they don't say has an impact on you.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
We want to be appreciated for our gifts and who we are, and we want to know that we matter. And so for me, it's really about creating moments that matter with people.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do much, but you really need to listen and take them in.
All right, I knew this was going to happen, Sissy, but running out of time, I want to just get one of the other questions I got over and over again. I know what I do, but I want to hear from you what you do. You're sitting there with someone you enjoy, and they're talking about a subject, and you're thinking inside, oh my God, you couldn't be more than wrong. Like it's totally opposite from your viewpoint. You're thinking you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs if you only knew blah, 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 blah about whatever subject, right? And it's not like it's a stranger. You know, like you said, there's people, it's somebody, you maybe not be your best bud, but what do you do then when you're sitting there listening to them?
Well, you could always change the subject. I mean, that this is a really, I think, really important point. And it's something I'm trying to get better at, which is
Oh,
when a judgment comes up for me, when somebody is saying something that especially if it's a values issue, right?
mhm,
I used to think I had to convince them,
mhm,
or that I had to keep listening and listening and listening and asking them questions. And now what I do is I will either change the subject,
mhm.
you know, and just move on.
Yeah, yeah, which is a great tactic. It's a great tactic.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you this, but I did one of my amazing mentors in life, my son, right? He'd kill me. But I learn every day by watching him because he truly is curious, loves people, wants to understand the way they think, has literally no judgment going on. And I'm like you, I'm like working in my head, like, don't say you're a wackadoo. Like, I'm not saying it, but I'm thinking, like, oh my goodness, whatever. And I was watching him with my brother, and he has a totally different viewpoint on a religious matter. And I saw him truly just wanting to sit there first to get to the bottom and understand why he had those beliefs.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then at the end, he asked a few questions. And I thought, sis, I don't know if I'm always there. Like, because sometimes my back goes in the air, like, but
Yeah.
he was able, even though I know he had that youth of the mind of, I go, Cole, how did you do that? He goes, well, how am I ever going to change his opinion or let him think about things differently if I don't understand why he's thinking that way?
Mhm.
And he had
Right.
patience with it.
Yeah.
Versus I'm changing the subject more times than not.
Yeah. I mean, I've done both things.
Yeah,
I'm able to listen to people and ask questions and all that. And then sometimes I choose not to.
yeah, yeah. All right. I want to recap what we went over because it's a lot, but I just want to scratch the surface because they can always reach out for more information. And I just want to make sure I'm hitting the right points of what I heard. First of all, when you say, it's not, you're saying it's not that difficult. Just reminding yourself to be present and even listening to the person with not having to have an answer,
Yeah.
not just sitting there listening to respond, but truly having curiosity of what they're saying and where they are and being able to put yourselves in their shoes. And I want to make sure I got this right. You said that they can impact you. Like how can they impact you with what they're saying or change your life? So that part I want to go over because I know it could be a skill that we just remind ourselves. I truly just want to be present. I can put my phones away. I want to be here and listen to them. It's about me really, truly sitting without the distractions and hearing what they have to say. But when you talked about how they impact you, your mentors. I want to just end with that because I think that's important. So when you're sitting there and you're being mentored, or you feel like you've learned something, whether you said it professionally or personally, do you let them know in that moment, or is it you might come back to it?
It depends.
Depends.
It depends. It could be, you know, they give you some information or whatever, and you say, wow, I never thought about it that way. So, you know, so here's how I'm taking in what you're saying. And then you feed it back to them, or you might ask another question. And then other times, because it's something you need to go and demonstrate or use in some way.
Gotcha.
Or because, you know, they might have tickled your imagination, but it hasn't formed anything solid in your own way of being. You might need to go out and use it.
Yeah. I
But
like.
but it could be as simple as this. Here's a quick example. So I was listening to a public speaker as part of this rehearsal group. So I was a member of the group who was listening to him give the speech. And I was just fascinated by him. I just thought he was amazing. So at the end of the speech, I said to him, at the end of the speech, I said to him, wow, you were magical. And he said, he welled up. This is an attorney. So he's an experienced attorney. His eyes welled up with tears. And he said to me, can you please write that down? I want to keep that with me. That's how simple it is.
Mm.
Or that story you just told touched my heart.
Yeah.
Wow, that blew me away.
Yeah.
That moved me. Or
Mm.
that made me laugh. Wow, I never looked at things that way.
Yeah.
Oh man, do you see? It's
Yeah.
it it's gotta be real, not manufactured.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is, you have that curiosity. So you're sitting there and you're intrigued. So you are able to be genuine because you wouldn't say it unless you meant it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm. But when you do, they feel it and they know it's genuine. That's why he's like, please write it down. I want to remember that.
Right. It's love. They feel loved.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, Miss Susan Sandler, we have to go. I'm so happy we got this finally together.
Finally got to do it.
Yeah. But before we do,
Yes.
is there anything we didn't get in that you want to tell women and men around the world to support us about the magic of listening, the magic of deep listening?
Magic of deep listening is there's so much of a payoff for you in terms of your own experience, your own life experience, and the relationships that you can form.
Amen. All right. Now, how can they find you? What's the best way to look you up?
I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, but the best way is my website, susanlsandler.com.
And just to recap, if they wanted to book you for a speaking gig or they wanted to hire you as an executive coach, would they go to your website too?
Absolutely.
And then for your TEDx, we're just going on YouTube.
You can find it on YouTube or through my website.
All right. Hey, I got something to say, people. I love you guys. I'm so grateful for you in my life, and I appreciate all your support. And I really do appreciate you listening. It means the world to me. And Susan and I would really love it if you shared this episode with someone that you know would benefit, which is, come on, everyone, because everyone, I don't know anyone that couldn't benefit from deepening their listening skills. Every single person in this world. I work on it every single day of my life. I want to become a better listener. And some days I'm better than others. On that note, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And until next time, you know what I'm going to say. Toodles. Bye, Sissy.
Bye-bye.